You were never weak. You were untrained in your own power. The battlefield was never outside. It's always been your mind. Every doubt is code, every thought, a weapon, every emotion, a signal shaping reality. This isn't motivation. It's initiation. Once you understand the science of your own strength, there's no going back, only forward into mastery. Before we dive in, take a second to hit that like button and let us know in the comments where you're listening from. You might be surprised to find someone listening from the same place as you. Introduction. The awakening of the inner warrior. Before your name, before your memories, before your first breath, you existed as light, a pulse of awareness, infinite and complete. Then you forgot. You entered time, put on a body, and began to believe you were small. Every moment since has been an invitation to remember who you truly are. This book is not about becoming more. It is about remembering. It is a guide to rebuild the bridge between your human mind and your limitless consciousness, between survival and creation, reaction and command chaos, and coherence. Modern science and ancient wisdom now speak the same language. Neuroscience proves that the brain is plastic rewired by focus and emotion. Quantum physics reveals that reality responds to observation. Spiritual law teaches that vibration precedes manifestation. Together, they point to one truth: you are not at the mercy of reality. You are the source code behind it. Every thought you think emits frequency. Every emotion you feel shapes matter. Every belief you hold programs the field around you. When your mind, heart, and body are in alignment, energy flows unhindered, and what you once called miracle becomes the natural rhythm of life. Yet most people live inverted, chasing control outside while neglecting the command within. They repeat patterns of fear, confusion, and scarcity, mistaking reaction for fate. This book is the reversal of that inversion. It teaches you how to remember your inner authority, the calm beneath chaos, the intelligence behind instinct, the silence that directs sound. You will learn to reframe thought, regulate emotion, and rewire your subconscious into coherence. You will discover how faith stabilizes vibration, how visualization reprograms reality, and how flow merges human effort with universal intelligence. Each chapter builds not theory, but transformation, step by step, moving you from awareness to mastery. This is not motivation. It is calibration, not escapism, but embodiment. You are not here to transcend life. You are here to express its highest pattern through your presence. The universe is not happening to you. It is happening through you. And when you remember that, when your mind becomes still enough to listen, your heart open enough to feel, your body grounded enough to act, you realize that creation was never outside your reach. It was always your nature. So breathe. Enter this journey, not as a student chasing answers, but as consciousness, remembering its power. What you are about to read is not just knowledge, it is a mirror. Because the truth is simple. You are the warrior, the field, and the flame. And the universe has been waiting for you to remember. Chapter 1. The Science of Change. Rewiring the brain through neuroplasticity. Change does not begin when your circumstances shift. It begins when your brain starts to think in new patterns, and your energy begins to match those thoughts. For decades, people believed the brain was a static organ, a finished sculpture after childhood. Now, science has confirmed what the ancient mystics always knew. The brain is fluid, electric, and eternally alive, with potential. This ability to reshape itself, neuroplasticity, is not just a biological process. It is the physical proof that transformation is possible at any stage of life. Every thought you repeat, sends a pulse through the neural web. Every emotion you dwell in releases a cocktail of chemicals that either strengthen or weaken those pathways. Each time you choose awareness over autopilot, you are physically sculpting your brain. Your choices are chisels. Your focus is fire. Your life is the structure you carve with both. Think of the brain as a vast cosmic city, billions of neurons connected by glowing highways of light. Every belief, memory, and habit is a street you travel daily. When you walk a path, often it becomes clear and easy to follow. When you neglect it, nature reclaims it. Neuroplasticity means you can choose which roads to widen and which to let fade. It means your patterns are not prisons. They are invitations to rebuild. Inside this process lies the principle of energy. Neuroscience tells you neurons that fire together wire together. Spiritual science tells you vibrations that resonate together manifest together. Both describe the same truth in different languages. You are a field of electricity, guided by consciousness. The frequencies of your thoughts, emotions, and attention ripple through that field, reprogramming not only your neural circuits, but also the energy surrounding you. Every moment you choose higher awareness, you're tuning yourself like an instrument to a higher harmonic. To understand neuroplasticity is to reclaim authorship. Each repeated action, every word you speak, every image you visualize, etches patterns into your cortical landscape. When you focus on fear, those circuits strengthen. When you focus on gratitude, compassion, or purpose, those pathways begin to dominate. Over time, your emotional default becomes your energetic signature. This is why discipline matters. Your brain listens to your attention, not your intention. On the cellular level, this process is extraordinary. Neurons communicate through synapses, microscopic spaces, where electrical signals leap like lightning. When a thought or experience repeats those synapses, release neurotransmitters more efficiently. The bridge between neurons thickens. Energy moves faster. The pathway becomes the brain's preferred route. What you practice, you become. What you rehearse mentally, your body will later perform. Now look deeper. When scientists study the brain through fMRI scans, they see new neural branches grow in response to learning challenge and focused repetition. Similarly, ancient mystics spoke of growing light through meditation and attention. New energetic filaments expanding consciousness. Both are real. One is physical, the other is vibrational. They occur together, mirroring each other like two sides of the same mirror. You have lived entire chapters of your life on autopilot, replaying the same emotional music, reacting to the same triggers, carrying the same invisible stories. But every moment you become aware of a thought, before acting on it, you open a split second of pure creation. That gap is sacred. Inside it you can choose differently. And that single conscious choice begins to rewire your brain. It's small at first, like carving a new path through dense forest. But with each repetition, the new road widens until it becomes your dominant route through life. Consider this. When you wake each morning and immediately revisit yesterday's worries, you are rebuilding yesterday's neural architecture. But when you wake and pause, breathe, consciously visualize the future you are becoming, you send a new signal through your network. That signal carries intention. Intention guides chemistry. Chemistry changes biology. Biology shapes behavior. Behavior alters destiny. The beauty of neuroplasticity is that it's democratic. It does not care about your past. Whether you are 20 or 70, your brain will obey the instructions you give it today. If you repeat fear, it grows stronger. If you repeat courage, that grows instead. The same circuits that sustained survival can now support transformation. Every setback becomes neural data, every challenge an opportunity to upgrade the system. Think of your mind as both scientist and experiment. When you learn something new, practice gratitude, or challenge a limiting belief, you're conducting an inner experiment in rewiring. At first, the changes feel subtle, but over time, your reactions shift. You recover faster from stress. You recognize patterns sooner. You choose differently. That is the signature of rewiring in motion. You might ask, how long does it take? Research suggests that consistent practice over 21 to 66 days can imprint new neural patterns. But time is not the key, emotion is. The more emotionally charged a thought, the faster it rewires. That is why pain transforms you so deeply. Emotion amplifies the signal. When you pair awareness with elevated emotion like gratitude, awe, or determination, you accelerate the process exponentially. So as you journey through this audiobook, treat every chapter as both science and ritual. The science provides the structure. The ritual charges it with energy. Together they create a loop of transformation that is unstoppable. Today, begin observing your inner language. Catch the phrases you repeat unconsciously. I can't. I'm not ready. I always fail. These are not facts. They are circuits. Interrupt them with awareness. Replace them with deliberate commands. I am learning. I adapt quickly. I am building strength. Say them until your brain believes you, because it will. And when it does, your outer world will begin to mirror your inner one. Neuroplasticity is the proof that destiny is editable. You are both the architect and the builder of your neural cathedral. With every thought, you lay a new stone. With every action, you reinforce its structure. One day you will look back and realize that what you once called weakness was simply untrained potential waiting for your direction. Remember this law: energy flows where attention goes, and structure follows energy. Focus is your weapon. Intention is your compass. Repetition is your forge. And your mind, the most sophisticated instrument in the universe, is waiting for you to command it. Chapter 2. The Alchemy of Weakness. Turning limitation into power. Every warrior is born twice. The first birth is biological when you arrive in this world. The second birth is alchemical when you finally understand that your weakness was never meant to destroy you, but to awaken you. The difference between those who stay trapped in fear and those who rise is not circumstance, it is interpretation. The same wound that breaks one person can ignite another. The same rejection that silences one mind can fuel another's masterpiece. Weakness is energy waiting for direction. Once you learn to direct it, it becomes your rawest source of strength. Science gives this process a name: adaptive response. When pressure is applied to a system, biological or neural, it either collapses or rebuilds stronger. Muscles tear under resistance, then heal thicker. Neural circuits stretch under challenge, then reconfigure with greater efficiency. Every stress you face is the universe running an upgrade protocol through your nervous system. Your pain is not punishment, it is calibration. Weakness is not a fixed identity. It is a temporary signal that something in your system requires expansion. It is your consciousness calling for new wiring, new frequency, new energy flow. When you see weakness this way, shame evaporates. You stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and begin asking, "What is trying to grow through me?" In spiritual physics, energy never disappears, it only changes form. The same law applies to your inner world. Every emotion you avoid becomes stagnant energy. Every fear you suppress becomes compressed potential. When you face what you once avoided, that trapped energy is released, transmuted, and reintegrated as power. This is emotional alchemy, the art of turning dense vibration into light. To transmute weakness, you must first look directly at it. Denial is resistance. Resistance locks the pattern in place. Awareness dissolves it. The moment you observe your fear without judgment, the pattern begins to lose its charge. This is not metaphor. It's measurable. Studies in effective neuroscience show that naming emotions reduces amygdala activity, the brain's fear center. Awareness rewires response. By seeing clearly, you change the signal. Now add emotion. When you pair self-awareness with compassion, genuine care for yourself, even in your lowest states, you shift your inner chemistry. Oxytocin rises, cortisol drops. Your prefrontal cortex, the seat of higher decision-making, comes online. From this calm clarity, you can begin reprogramming the narrative of weakness into one of evolution. For example, say you struggle with procrastination. The old narrative says, "I'm lazy. I always fail." But the truth beneath that weakness is often fear of failure, a protective circuit. Instead of attacking yourself, you can thank the circuit for trying to keep you safe, and then teach it a new association. Effort equals discovery, not danger. Each time you act from this new meaning, your brain rewires. The old pattern dissolves because it no longer serves a purpose. Weakness is an invitation to dialogue with your subconscious, the 95% of your mind running automatic programs. When you approach it not with criticism but curiosity, you begin communicating with that deeper field. You're telling your nervous system, "I am safe to grow." That single statement shifts your internal chemistry, allowing new circuits to form. The spiritual layer of this process mirrors the scientific one. The alchemist of the soul knows that lead, heavy, dull, and common, is the precursor to gold. The impurities must first be heated, melted, and recombined before brilliance emerges. Your weaknesses are the lead of your psyche. Each contains essential material that, when refined through awareness and consistent effort, becomes wisdom, empathy, and unshakable strength. Think of every challenge as an energy equation. Pressure, opportunity for adaptation; pain, concentration of power; fear, signal to focus awareness; failure, feedback loop for evolution. When you stop resisting these equations, you convert pain into energy rather than depletion. This is the foundation of the warrior mindset, not the absence of weakness, but mastery over its chemistry. In neuroscience, this process is reflected in the strengthening of the anterior cingulate cortex, the region responsible for error detection and adaptive learning. When you face discomfort consciously, that region fires, signaling your system to adjust and improve. In energetic terms, the same act expands your electromagnetic field, increasing coherence between heart and brain. If this line made you pause, it means you're present. Give it a like, so the message reaches others who need it too. The more coherent your system, the more magnetic your presence, the faster your environment reorganizes around your new state. Every weakness is a mirror, showing you where energy is constricted. When you meet it with awareness, compassion, and practice, it becomes movement again. The pain that once paralyzed you becomes purpose. The story that once diminished you becomes medicine for others. This is not positive thinking. It is practical transmutation. A warrior does not deny the wound, they use it as a portal. When you integrate the shadow, it stops chasing you and begins to serve you. The fear you once obeyed becomes fuel. The doubt you once hid becomes discernment. The loneliness you once cursed becomes depth. To begin this transformation, try this practice. Observe the pattern. Name the weakness without judgment. Locate its function. Ask, what is this trying to protect me from? Express gratitude. Appreciate the intention beneath the pattern, even if its method was flawed. Redefine the meaning. Replace "this means I'm broken" with "this means I'm upgrading." Act differently. Take one small, deliberate action that contradicts the old pattern. Repeat this daily. Each repetition reinforces the new circuit until the old one loses dominance. You'll begin to notice changes not only in thought, but in physical energy. Your posture straightens, your breath deepens, your perception expands. That is the nervous system learning a new song. Understand this truth. Weakness is not the opposite of strength. It is the birthplace of it. You cannot become unbreakable by avoiding the cracks. You become unbreakable by learning to let light through them. The same energy that once felt like pain will one day pulse through you as clarity, conviction, and compassion. When that happens, you will realize that the word warrior never meant fighter. It meant one who carries awareness through chaos. You will stop fearing your own sensitivity because you will know it as perception. You will stop resisting pain because you will recognize it as signal. And you will walk with a quiet confidence that no external force can replicate because it was forged from within. The alchemy is complete when weakness no longer frightens you, but fascinates you. Every limitation becomes data. Every emotion becomes instruction. Every challenge becomes invitation. You stop running. You start listening. And what you hear is the steady rhythm of your own evolution, the heartbeat of a warrior in the making. Weakness was never the enemy. It was the training ground of your soul. Chapter 3. The Psychology of Vulnerability and Resilience. There is a sacred paradox at the heart of transformation. The more you allow yourself to be open, the stronger you become. What the world calls vulnerability is not fragility. It is exposure to truth. And truth is always powerful. The warrior learns that armor may protect the body, but it also numbs the spirit. You cannot grow behind walls. You must let life touch you, even if it shakes you to your core. Vulnerability is the birthplace of every form of resilience, creativity, and connection. To be vulnerable is to remain authentic, even when it's uncomfortable. It's standing without defense in front of the mirror and saying, "This is me still becoming." When you do this, you activate one of the brain's most profound mechanisms, self-awareness. The anterior insula and prefrontal cortex light up regions responsible for emotional regulation and empathy. In this state, your perception widens. Your reactions soften. You shift from survival mode into growth mode. Our culture often confuses vulnerability with weakness. We're taught that control equals strength, that emotion equals instability. But the opposite is true. The people who suppress emotions are ruled by them. Those who face them are liberated. Neuroscience calls this integration, when your logical and emotional brains communicate freely rather than fight for dominance. Integrated systems are stable systems. Imagine a bridge that flexes in the wind. Its strength is in its flexibility. That is resilience. Rigid structures crack under pressure. Adaptable ones endure. Your mind works the same way. Emotional flexibility. The ability to feel without drowning is the mark of an evolved nervous system. When you allow yourself to experience emotion fully without judgment, you are training your system to stay open under stress. Over time, this increases what psychologists call your window of tolerance, the range of emotion you can handle without shutting down. To live resiliently, you must first permit yourself to be vulnerable. Every time you admit "I don't know," you create space for learning. Every time you say, "This hurts you," give the body permission to release tension and heal. The act of acknowledging vulnerability reduces activity in the amygdala and increases prefrontal coherence, the science of courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the synchronization of awareness and action, despite fear. Vulnerability also strengthens connection. From an energetic perspective, authenticity increases coherence in your heart's electromagnetic field, a measurable vibration that influences others. When you speak truthfully, your field stabilizes. When you hide it, fragments. The heart, not the mind, is the first organ to perceive energetic information. This is why people feel truth before they understand it. When you express vulnerability, you create resonance. Others feel safe to be real in your presence. That is leadership at its highest frequency. There is another layer, the growth mindset. Psychologist Carol Dweck discovered that those who see ability as changeable rather than fixed recover faster from failure. The spiritual law mirrors it. Whatever you believe can evolve, will. The brain responds to your belief like a command. When you say "I can learn," neurons begin to seek new connections. When you say "I'll never change those pathways," shut down. Every statement of belief is a biological signal. So the practice is to shift from judgment to curiosity. Instead of saying "I failed," say "What data did this give me?" Instead of "I can't handle this, try," "I am learning to handle this." Your nervous system listens. Over time, it builds evidence that you survive what you feel. That evidence becomes confidence, and confidence becomes calm. In resilience research, there is a term called post-traumatic growth. It means that people can emerge from trauma, not just intact, but expanded, more empathetic, more purposeful, more alive. The secret is not denial, but meaning. When you assign meaning to your pain, when you decide that suffering refined you rather than defined you, you literally change how your hippocampus stores the memory. The brain shifts from trauma imprint to learning imprint. The past no longer replays as a wound, but as wisdom. Try this exercise. Think of a recent moment of emotional difficulty. Don't analyze it, just feel it. Name. Identify the primary emotion: fear, grief, shame, anger. Naming reduces its power. Breathe. Inhale deeply and imagine sending oxygen into the exact spot in your body where you feel the emotion. This communicates safety to the nervous system. Reframe. Ask, what strength is this experience trying to awaken in me? By practicing this, you teach your brain that emotion is not a threat, but a teacher. The more often you do it, the more rapidly your system returns to balance after disruption. That is emotional resilience, not avoiding pain, but recovering gracefully from it. From a spiritual standpoint, vulnerability is not only psychological, but energetic alignment with truth. Pretending to be invincible fractures your field. Authenticity restores it. In the quantum sense, coherence, when all parts of your system vibrate in harmony, is what allows you to manifest effectively. The more authentic you are, the less resistance you carry, and the more effortlessly you influence reality. So vulnerability is not weakness. It is the signal that you are in contact with the real raw life force moving through you. When you hide from it, you stagnate. When you face it, you evolve. The warrior does not seek invulnerability. The warrior seeks transparency, where nothing is hidden, and therefore nothing can control them. True resilience is a rhythm, not an armor. It is the natural bounce of a system that trusts itself. It's the quiet knowing, I can feel this fully and still remain whole. That knowing is freedom. So let yourself break open, not down. Let yourself be seen even when you tremble. Let your story be unfinished and your voice unsteady. Because the moment you stop pretending to be unshakable is the moment you realize you already are. You are not fragile. You are fluid. You are not a wall. You are a wave. And no matter how many times you fall, you rise again, because rising is written in your biology and your soul. That is resilience to meet the storm without losing your center, to walk through the fire and realize the flame is not your enemy, it is your initiation. Breathe. Feel the energy moving through your chest. That pulse you sense is not just your heartbeat. It's proof that you are still here, still expanding, still capable of becoming more. Vulnerability opened the door. Resilience will carry you through it. Chapter 4. The Neural Blueprint of Habit. How patterns create reality. Every day, without realizing it, you perform thousands of rituals that silently design the architecture of your mind. From the moment you wake and reach for your phone to the way you respond when challenged, your brain is following invisible maps called habits. These are not random. They are the neural blueprints of your destiny. The life you live today is the accumulated echo of what you have practiced, thinking, feeling, and doing. To change your life, you must redesign those blueprints at their source. In neuroscience, a habit is a learned pattern of behavior, stored in neural circuits between the basal ganglia, prefrontal cortex, and limbic system. It begins with a cue followed by a routine ending in a reward. Over time, the brain automates this loop to conserve energy. What was once deliberate becomes automatic. This efficiency is both your greatest ally and your quietest enemy. It means your brain will make anything feel natural, whether empowerment or self-sabotage, if you repeat it long enough. Habits are proof that your thoughts have physical consequences. Each time you think, you release chemicals that create feelings. Those feelings drive actions, and those actions reinforce the same thoughts. This becomes a feedback loop, a closed circuit of energy. From a spiritual scientific perspective, each loop is also a frequency. Whatever emotion dominates the loop, fear, peace, confidence, guilt, becomes the vibration you transmit into the field. The universe responds by reflecting it back in form. This is not mysticism, it is resonance. To break or build a habit, you must first become aware of this loop. Awareness is the moment consciousness reclaims authorship. When you observe your behavior without judgment, you interrupt the automation. The prefrontal cortex, the brain's command center, activates, allowing you to override older limbic patterns. In energetic terms, attention floods the circuit with light-dissolving inertia. Let's say you habitually procrastinate. Each time you delay action, your brain releases dopamine in anticipation of temporary relief, not accomplishment. The reward reinforces avoidance. To rewire this, you must introduce conscious friction. Pause the moment the urge arises. Breathe and redirect your focus toward micro-action, something achievable in under 2 minutes. Completing that micro-action releases dopamine too, but this time it's aligned with progress. Over time, the brain learns that action, not avoidance, equals reward. The circuitry changes, the habit transforms. This is habit alchemy, converting unconscious repetition into conscious ritual. When you intentionally design your daily actions, you are not just being productive. You are training your nervous system to live on purpose. The repetition required for mastery is the same mechanism that once built limitation. The difference is direction. Repetition is not bondage, it is leverage. Every neural pathway, like a trail in the forest, grows clearer with every step you take. What feels awkward at first soon becomes effortless. Scientists call this myelination, the insulation of neural fibers that makes signals travel faster. Each time you practice a new behavior, a thin layer of myelin forms. With enough practice, it becomes a superhighway of efficiency. You are literally sculpting speed into your identity. Now imagine coupling that with emotion. If repetition is structure, emotion is voltage. When you infuse your new habits with elevated states, gratitude, love, excitement, you magnify their imprint on the brain. Emotional intensity signals importance. The stronger the signal, the faster the brain rewires. This is why passion accelerates growth and why resentment prolongs suffering. Both are high-voltage emotions, but only one uplifts your frequency. Think of your mind as a 3D printer of reality. Your habits are the code you feed into it. Every repeated behavior is a line of programming. The printer doesn't care what you input. It will reproduce it faithfully. If you program fear, it prints limitation. If you program discipline and vision, it prints freedom. The universe is the canvas. Your brain is the printer, and habit is the code. The key to mastering this process lies in deliberate design. Choose a single behavior that aligns with the person you want to become. Anchor it to an existing cue, something you already do every day. For example, after brushing your teeth, meditate for 2 minutes. After finishing work, write down one thing you learned. The cue triggers the new pattern, automatically weaving it into your neural fabric. Consistency, not intensity, is what rewires. This mirrors what ancient spiritual traditions called sadhana, a daily practice that aligns body, mind, and spirit with intention. Each repetition becomes a declaration to the universe. This is who I am becoming. Over weeks, your identity shifts from effort to embodiment. You are no longer trying to meditate. You are a person who meditates. No longer forcing discipline. You are discipline. There's a cosmic principle operating here. Energy follows pattern. Patterns are consciousness crystallized in time. The more coherent and consistent your pattern, the stronger your energetic field becomes. You stop leaking energy through inconsistency. You become a stable transmitter, what mystics call presence. But there's an equally important skill, breaking old loops. When an unwanted habit arises, don't fight it, observe it. Fighting reinforces the energy. Observation neutralizes it. Replace it not with guilt, but with direction. The brain cannot erase a pattern, but it can overwrite it. You can't delete fear, but you can teach your brain that courage is safer. You can't erase self-doubt, but you can train confidence through repetition. The formula is simple awareness. Catch the cue. Interrupt. Insert conscious breath. Redirect. Replace the behavior. Reinforce. Reward the new action. Apply this for 21 days, and you'll begin to sense a shift, not just mentally, but vibrationally. Your body will start craving what elevates it. Old desires will lose their pull. This is the body aligning with the new blueprint. The truth is, your habits are not small. They are sacred. They are your dialogue with the universe. Every consistent thought, every repeated action is a message saying, "This is what I choose to become." And the universe, neutral and precise, replies, "So be it." So, begin small, but begin with reverence. Your morning routine, your posture, the way you breathe when no one is watching. These are your incantations. Do them consciously, and they will rewire your world. The warrior's discipline is not about control. It is about rhythm. When you live by conscious rhythm, chaos loses its grip. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop trying to change your life from the outside and begin engineering it from within. You do not need motivation. You need alignment. Once the neural and energetic patterns match the life you envision, Momentum becomes effortless. You will wake one day and realize that what once felt impossible is now your baseline. That is not luck, that is law. Your habits are not mere routines. They are spells of creation cast through time. Make them sacred. Guard them fiercely, and let each repetition whisper the truth until your entire being remembers you were never powerless. You were simply practicing the wrong pattern. Chapter 5. Mind over Biology. The body responds to thought. Your body is not a machine. It is an instrument exquisitely attuned to the music of your mind. Every thought you think sends a biochemical symphony through your cells. Every emotion you sustain alters hormones, immune responses, and even the expression of your genes. This is not poetic exaggeration. It is scientific fact. You are not simply living in a body. You are living through it, shaping its chemistry with every pulse of awareness. For centuries, spiritual masters have said, "As within, so without." Modern biology has finally caught up. The field of epigenetics reveals that your genes are not your destiny. They are options waiting for instruction. DNA is like a grand library filled with millions of books of potential. Which ones you read and which you leave on the shelf depends on your emotional environment. Stress hormones silence certain genes, while elevated states joy love. Gratitude activate others. In short, your state of consciousness is the switchboard of your biology. Think of every emotion as a command signal. Fear contracts your blood vessels, slows digestion, and primes the body for defense. Gratitude expands the vascular system, enhances immune response, and fosters healing. The same brain that creates anxiety can create regeneration. It simply follows the program you run. You are the programmer. Dr. Candace Pert, the neuroscientist who discovered neuropeptides, the molecules of emotion, proved that every cell in your body has receptors for your thoughts. Your chemistry is your biography in motion. Each time you think of yourself as limited, your cells register that command. Each time you affirm strength and peace, your body responds as if it has already arrived. This is the scientific basis for what ancient mystics called mind-body unity. When you change your mind, you change your chemistry. When you sustain that change, you recondition your entire physiology. The warrior understands this mindset is not abstract. It is molecular. Your thoughts are chemical messengers, and your emotions are their amplifiers. Let's explore how this works. The hypothalamus in your brain translates thoughts into neuropeptides, chemical messengers that travel through your bloodstream, binding to cells throughout the body. If your habitual thinking revolves around stress and worry, your bloodstream becomes saturated with cortisol and adrenaline. These are survival hormones meant for short bursts, but chronic exposure causes inflammation, weakens the immune system, and accelerates aging. In this state, your body becomes a biography of fear. Now imagine the opposite. When you cultivate gratitude, compassion, or joy, your brain releases oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine neurochemicals that enhance connection, repair DNA, and promote cellular regeneration. Your heart rhythm stabilizes, your breathing deepens, your brain waves shift into coherence. You literally become a new electrical signal in the universe. From a spiritual scientific lens, your body is an antenna, constantly broadcasting your dominant vibration. Disease, fatigue, and imbalance are not punishments, they are feedback. The body is saying, the signal you're sending doesn't match the harmony I was designed for. Healing, then, is not about fighting the body, but recalibrating the signal. You do this not by force, but by alignment, by thinking and feeling in a way that affirms life instead of resisting it. Consider this experiment. Close your eyes and imagine biting into a lemon. Within seconds, your salivary glands respond. Why? Because the body cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a physical one. The brain fires the same pathways. This means visualization is not fantasy, it is rehearsal. Each image you hold with emotion instructs your cells how to behave. When you visualize health, your body begins preparing for it. When you dwell on fear, it prepares for defense. This is why healing is not only physical recovery, it is energetic coherence. When your thoughts, emotions, and body are aligned, the system enters harmony. The parasympathetic nervous system engages, allowing repair and regeneration. This is the biological equivalent of faith, the state of inner surrender that allows natural intelligence to do its work. The warrior learns to use thought as medicine. Instead of reacting to pain with panic, you respond with presence. When fear arises, you breathe into it rather than flee. This single act interrupts the cascade of stress hormones and initiates a different chemical dialogue. Over time, your baseline physiology changes. You move from reactive survival to creative expansion. Here is a practical exercise to experience this mind-body dialogue. Awareness. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Notice your breath without trying to control it. Observation. Recall a stressful thought. Feel where tension appears in the body. Maybe the chest tightens or the stomach clenches. Reframe. Now replace the thought with its opposite. I am safe, supported, capable. Imagine warmth and light flowing to that same area. Response. Observe how your body reacts. Heart rate slows, muscles soften, breath deepens. Repeat this daily. You are teaching your body to trust your mind again. This practice also trains you to recognize that your emotions are not happening to you. They are happening through you. They are simply energy in motion, emotion. When you block emotion, it stagnates and manifests as physical tension. When you allow it to move, it completes its circuit and leaves behind clarity. The great paradox of the warrior path is that mastery over the body begins with gentleness toward it. You do not dominate biology, you direct it. You speak to it in the language of imagery, breath, and emotion. Over time, your cells learn the melody of peace. That peace becomes your default chemistry. At the quantum level, your body is 99.9999% empty space, filled with vibrating energy. What holds it together is coherence, the synchronization of fields. When your mind vibrates at frequencies of gratitude, courage, and love, that coherence amplifies. You become not just healthier, but more radiant. Others can feel it without knowing why. So when you wake each morning, ask yourself, what energy will I instruct my biology to carry today? You are not at the mercy of your body. You are its conductor. Every breath is a command, every thought, a code, every emotion, a transmission. The truth is simple and astonishing. Your body listens to your mind, and the universe listens to both. What you hold inside becomes the shape of your experience. Breathe. Imagine your cells as galaxies, your heartbeat as cosmic rhythm, your breath as the wind of creation moving through them. This is not metaphor. It is anatomy, viewed through the lens of spirit. You are not separate from the intelligence that made stars. It animates you now, one cell at a time. Remember this every time you doubt your power. Your biology is your biography in motion, and your mind holds the pen. What story will you write today? Chapter 6. The Warrior's Mindset. Harnessing Cognitive Reframing and Inner Command. There will come a point in every seeker's journey where motivation fades, where fear whispers louder than purpose, and the world demands proof before it offers faith. This is the threshold where most turn back. But the warrior does not turn back, the warrior reframes. What breaks others becomes their blueprint for mastery. Cognitive reframing is both psychology and spiritual art. It is the discipline of interpreting reality through a higher lens, the ability to transform chaos into order by shifting perception. Neuroscience calls it cognitive restructuring, redirecting neural traffic away from reactive pathways towards circuits of clarity, logic, and vision. Spiritual science calls it mental alchemy, transmuting thought's vibration so it aligns with truth rather than fear. Both are acts of command. At the root of every human experience is a single truth. Your perception creates your reality. You do not experience events as they are. You experience them as you are. Two people can live the same day. One calls it tragedy, the other initiation. The difference is meaning. Meaning determines emotion. Emotion determines behavior. Behavior determines outcome. If you can change the meaning, you can change the story, and the brain will follow. Each time you reinterpret a challenge as opportunity, you activate the prefrontal cortex and calm the limbic system. Blood flow shifts from fear to focus. This is not abstract, it's biochemistry. The same mechanism that triggers anxiety can be rewired to trigger awareness. You are not escaping reality. You are mastering its interpretation. Let's make this tangible. Imagine you lose something valuable, a relationship, a job, a dream. The untrained mind spirals. This is the end. The warrior mind says, this is the edge from which I rise. One thought releases cortisol and tightens your chest. The other releases dopamine and ignites creative strategy. You changed nothing external, yet your internal chemistry transformed. That is command. Cognitive reframing is not denial, it's direction. Denial says, this isn't happening. Direction says, this is happening for me. One resists energy, the other redirects it. When you shift from resistance to redirection, you open the flow of life again. Energy blocked by fear becomes energy available for creation. The greatest leaders, artists, and innovators practice this unconsciously. They feel fear, doubt, or rejection, but they quickly assign a higher meaning. They see feedback, not failure, initiation, not injustice. Their nervous systems adapt faster because their inner dialogue supports growth. Their brains, flooded with coherence, find solutions others cannot see. Your words are commands to your consciousness. Every phrase you repeat becomes instruction for the subconscious, which governs over 90% of your behavior. When you say, I can't handle this, your mind searches for evidence to prove it. When you say, I'm learning to handle this, your brain releases dopamine in anticipation of progress. This subtle linguistic shift rewires your circuitry from paralysis to possibility. Here's a process to begin training your mind in the art of reframing. Catch the narrative. Throughout your day, listen for automatic thoughts. When stress arises, notice what you say internally. Often it's a rehearsed phrase, I always mess up. Awareness is your first act of rebellion. Interrupt the loop. Pause. Breathe. Literally slow the system. This interrupts the neural chain reaction between emotion and thought. In that pause, you become commander rather than captive. Question the premise. Ask yourself, is this thought true, or is it just familiar? The brain loves familiarity. It mistakes it for safety. But growth lives beyond comfort. Reframe intentionally. Replace the phrase with one that maintains truth, but amplifies power. Instead of I failed, say I gathered data. Instead of I'm lost, say I'm exploring. Instead of "I can't do this," say "I'm training to do this." Anchor emotion. Close your eyes. Feel the upgraded thought as if it's already true. Emotion is the amplifier that locks in new wiring. Repeat this until your internal voice sounds like leadership, not limitation. Over time, your subconscious will mirror this voice even under stress. This is not pretending. It's practicing sovereignty. There is an electromagnetic truth hidden here. When you elevate your perception, you elevate your vibration. Your nervous system emits a more coherent field. Opportunities, ideas, and people who match that coherence begin appearing. What you call luck is simply resonance, obeying law. Ancient Stoics and modern neuroscientists agree on this point. You cannot control events, but you can command meaning. The event is neutral. The meaning is chosen. The moment you choose meaning consciously, you reclaim creative power. Consider this metaphor. Your mind is the captain of a ship. Your emotions are the wind, and your body is the vessel. When you lose focus, the wind controls your direction. When you command attention, you steer. Cognitive reframing is the hand on the wheel. You cannot stop the waves, but you can align your sails. The warrior mindset also requires emotional endurance, the willingness to stay calm in chaos. This is where meditation, breathwork, and mindfulness join the practice. Each anchors the nervous system, creating space between trigger and response. The more space, the more mastery. And yet, the true power of reframing extends beyond thought. It reaches into vibration. When you practice inner command long enough, your energy changes before your words do. People feel your steadiness. Circumstances begin to mirror your stability. You no longer chase control. You embody it. Remember, every storm you face is testing your ability to assign higher meaning. The warrior's mantra is simple. Nothing happens to me. It happens through me. With that sentence, you transform victimhood into authorship. Each time you reframe fear into focus, doubt into data failure, into fuel, you are literally carving new circuits of resilience into your brain and etching new frequencies into your field. You begin to walk differently, speak differently, breathe differently. You move from reaction to response, from chaos to command. This is the mindset of mastery, to meet life's chaos with calm eyes and a still heart, to transmute every why me into watch me. Remember, perception is creation. You see as you are, not as it is. So become the kind of being who can look at storms and see blueprints, look at endings and see beginnings, look at weakness and see training. That is the warrior's reframing. That is inner command. And one day, as you practice this long enough, you will realize something extraordinary. You are no longer trying to stay positive. You simply are. You are no longer trying to lead your mind. It willingly follows. You are no longer seeking peace. You generate it. In that moment, you will understand. Control was never power. Command was. And command begins where fear ends. Chapter 7. The Power of Presence. Meditation. Stillness and the quantum field. There is a silence underneath every thought, a space between each breath, and in that space lies the entire architecture of creation. Presence is not a philosophy, it is physics. It is the state in which your brain, heart, and field of consciousness synchronize with the universe's operating frequency. The warrior understands that mastering this stillness is not an escape from life. It is the highest form of participation. Meditation is the training ground for this mastery. It is how you move from reacting to directing, from noise to knowing. Science now shows what sages have taught for millennia. When you become still, your brain reorganizes itself into harmony. EEG scans reveal that during meditation, chaotic beta waves give way to synchronized alpha and theta rhythms. These are not just slower frequencies. They are more coherent, allowing communication between regions of the brain that were once isolated by stress. In this coherence, creativity awakens, clarity sharpens, and the nervous system begins to heal. At the same time, your heart rhythm shifts. Heart coherence, the steady rhythmic pulse that accompanies peace and gratitude, sends signals through the vagus nerve to the brain, lowering stress hormones and boosting immune function. When mind and heart align in rhythm, they generate an electromagnetic field measurable several feet beyond the body. This is what spiritual science calls the aura, the luminous field of coherence. The higher your coherence, the more powerfully your consciousness interacts with the quantum field of possibility around you. Think of the quantum field as the invisible ocean that connects all things, a realm of potential waiting for observation. Every thought, every emotion is a wave you send into that field. Most people send scattered waves, a mix of fear, doubt, and fleeting desire, and wonder why nothing changes. Meditation trains you to still the waves until your focus becomes a laser. The universe responds not to confusion, but to coherence. In meditation, you are teaching the body to trust stillness more than motion, the mind to obey intention more than impulse. This is not passive relaxation, it is active creation. You are rehearsing new states of being until the body remembers peace as its natural language. Here is the paradox. The quieter you become, the more you influence reality. Because stillness is not empty, it is full of intelligence. Within the silence between two thoughts lies the zero-point field, the unified field of consciousness, where all information exists. When you touch that space, even for seconds, your brain and heart enter quantum alignment. Your intention becomes a wave of organized energy in a sea of infinite potential. Let's make this practical. The next time you sit to meditate, understand that you are not trying to clear your mind. You are reprogramming your frequency. Follow this simple framework. Ground. Sit comfortably. Feel your body's weight against the surface beneath you. Breathe slowly until the breath becomes rhythmic. Observe. Watch your thoughts as they arise. Don't chase them. Imagine them as clouds moving across an open sky. Align. Bring attention to the heart. Breathe as if through your chest. On each inhale, feel expansion. On each exhale, release tension. Elevate. Recall a moment of deep gratitude or love. Feel it fully. That emotion is the key that unlocks coherence. Project. Now, from that elevated emotion, visualize your desired reality, not as a wish, but as memory. See it vividly. Feel it as done. You have just created coherence intention, thought plus emotion, feeling, frequency. The quantum field interprets frequency as instruction. Neuroscientists have observed that long-term meditators exhibit thicker prefrontal cortices regions tied to focus and compassion, and reduced activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear center. Over time, this means you do not merely stay calm. You become calm. Calmness ceases to be a practice and becomes your baseline state of being. From a spiritual lens, stillness is how you re-enter the rhythm of the universe. Every planet cell and heartbeat moves according to pattern. Chaos is what happens when you forget your rhythm. Meditation tunes you back to it. That is why after deep meditation, the world feels sharper colors, richer time slower. Your senses recalibrate to the real frequency of life. The warrior uses stillness strategically. When others panic, the warrior breathes. When confusion rises, the warrior returns to center. Presence becomes weapon and shield, a force that neutralizes chaos without aggression. In stillness, you see patterns invisible to the hurried mind. You act from clarity, not compulsion. Do not mistake stillness for idleness. Stillness is the state of maximum efficiency, where no energy is wasted. In quantum terms, a coherent field exerts greater influence with less effort. This is why enlightened masters seemed to alter reality through intention alone. They had aligned their inner frequency so precisely that matter responded automatically. When you enter presence, you exit time. The brain's default mode network responsible for past-future thinking quiets, and you slip into the eternal now. In that now, healing happens naturally, because there is no resistance, no story, no past to maintain. You become the observer, and observation itself reorganizes energy. Presence is not something you achieve once and keep forever. It is something you choose moment by moment. Each breath is an invitation to return. Each pause between words is a doorway. The more you step through, the easier it becomes to live from that place. Eventually, meditation expands beyond the cushion. You begin to walk as meditation, eat as meditation, speak as meditation. Every act becomes deliberate, every movement imbued with awareness. You become living coherence, the embodied union of stillness and motion. And here is the quiet secret. The universe does not answer the loudest mind. It answers the most coherent one. So train your stillness as fiercely as you train your will. Sit until the noise settles. Breathe until your heartbeat feels like the earth's. Listen until silence begins to speak. Because when you master presence, you no longer chase creation. Creation begins to follow you. Chapter 8. Visualization and Frequency. Seeing to create. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your future self, the version of you who has already transcended every limitation you now face. See the way they stand, the calm in their expression, the certainty in their breath. You are not merely daydreaming. You are communicating with the quantum field through the language of imagery. What you vividly imagine with emotion, the brain and body accept as real. Visualization is not fantasy. It is neurophysics in action. When you hold a clear mental image, the visual cortex activates as if you were witnessing the scene with your eyes. Mirror neurons fire. The same neural pathways that create action begin to strengthen through imagination alone. In other words, the brain rehearses success before the body performs it. The future becomes memory in advance. Athletes use this principle to achieve impossible precision. Healers use it to regenerate tissue. Creators use it to manifest opportunity. The mechanism is universal. The nervous system cannot distinguish between deeply felt imagination and physical experience. Your energy field treats both as instructions. But visualization is only half of the equation. The other half is frequency. A mental image without emotion is static, like a photograph without sound. Emotion is the vibration that carries the signal to the field. Gratitude, love, inspiration, conviction. These are high-frequency states. Fear, doubt, and impatience emit low frequencies that scatter the signal. To create effectively, you must match the emotional signature of the reality you seek. You don't visualize to get something. You visualize to become the person who already has it. Here's how to practice this fusion of image and frequency clarity. Choose one vision at a time. Vague desires create vague outcomes. Define precisely what you want to experience, not only in detail, but in feeling, embodiment. Close your eyes and step into the image. See through your own eyes. Feel your body in that reality. What does success smell like? How does peace move in your chest? Amplify emotion. Let gratitude flood your system as if the vision is already real. The heart's electromagnetic field expands in this state, broadcasting your signal coherently into the quantum field. Release. Once the emotion peaks, let go. Detachment anchors the vibration in trust. You've sent the signal. The field will organize accordingly. This practice aligns perfectly with neuroscience. Studies show that mental rehearsal strengthens the same synapses as physical repetition. Visualization increases activity in the motor cortex and basal ganglia, the centers of action and motivation. Add emotion, and the limbic system records the experience as achieved. When the moment arrives in reality, your body recognizes it. You act from familiarity, not fear. From the spiritual perspective, this process is the art of resonance. Every reality already exists as a potential vibration in the field. You don't attract it, you tune to it. Just as a radio dial finds a frequency already broadcasting your consciousness, locates the version of reality that matches your internal state. Visualization is how you fine-tune that dial. Most people visualize passively, they daydream while doubting. But the warrior visualizes deliberately, holding the image with unwavering presence. You're not asking the universe for something, you're instructing it. The brain obeys clarity, and the universe obeys coherence. Here is the crucial distinction. You do not visualize from lack. You visualize from wholeness. When you imagine your future self from a sense of, I don't have it yet, you broadcast absence. When you imagine from, I am it now, you broadcast fulfillment. The field mirrors your dominant vibration. This is why the greatest masters focus not on wanting, but on being. They embody the vibration of what they choose to experience. Wealth becomes a feeling of abundance before it becomes numbers. Love becomes a frequency of openness before it becomes a relationship. Health becomes gratitude before it becomes recovery. Try this exercise. Sit in stillness. Bring your attention to your heart. Breathe until your mind quiets. Now, imagine a radiant light emanating from your chest. This is your broadcast signal. See it expanding outward, touching the room, the city, the planet. Within that field, visualize one scene from your desired future. Make it sensory rich. Feel gratitude rising through your body. Hold that feeling until it steadies. Then whisper inwardly, "It is done." This single sentence collapses the distance between intention and manifestation. It tells your subconscious and the field that the command is complete. From here, action becomes effortless. Synchronicities appear. You feel guided rather than forced. This is the universe responding to coherence. Scientists studying intention experiments like those led by Dr. Joe Dispenza and the HeartMath Institute found that when participants held elevated emotion with focused thought, measurable electromagnetic changes occurred in both their brains and the environment. Reality quite literally shifted its organization around coherent energy. This is not superstition. It is participation in the underlying mechanics of consciousness. Remember, every image you hold is a seed. Some take root instantly. Others germinate slowly depending on your consistency and faith. The warrior does not dig up the seed to check if it's growing. They water it daily with aligned emotion and action. They trust the timing because they trust the field. Eventually, you begin to sense something profound. Your visualizations are not about future events. They are glimpses of parallel realities that already exist. Each meditation becomes a bridge across frequency, bringing the invisible into visibility. When your energy fully matches the reality you've been envisioning, that reality must appear, because creation is not external, it is resonance. So each morning, before the noise of the world begins, close your eyes and design your day in consciousness. Picture calm under pressure. See your projects unfolding smoothly. Feel your body vibrant, your mind clear, your relationships harmonious. Walk through your day in advance, emotionally, mentally, energetically. Then, when the day unfolds, you will find the outer world following the blueprint you already built within. This is the art of visualization and frequency, the merging of thought, feeling, and presence into one coherent command. It is not magic. It is law. See it clearly, feel it deeply, release it completely. And when you open your eyes, walk as if the universe has already rearranged itself to meet you, because it has. Chapter 9. The Energy Body. How emotion shapes the brain's wiring. Your mind is not confined to your skull, and your consciousness is not trapped in your thoughts. You are an electromagnetic being, a living field of light emotion and intelligence. Every feeling you experience vibrates through this field, shaping not only your mood, but also the structure of your brain. Emotion is energy in motion, the invisible current that directs your biology and your destiny. Science and spirituality now converge on this truth. Your emotional state is the frequency through which your nervous system communicates with the universe. Modern research by the HeartMath Institute shows that the heart generates an electromagnetic field up to 3 meters beyond the body, a field that shifts moment to moment with emotion. When you feel fear, the field becomes erratic. When you feel gratitude or compassion, it becomes rhythmic and coherent. This coherence does not stop at the skin. It entrains the brain, aligning neural patterns into harmony. What this means is extraordinary emotion is the bridge between your mind and body, between energy and matter. Each emotion you sustain sculpts the very architecture of your brain. Repeated fear strengthens survival circuits in the amygdala and shuts down higher reasoning. Repeated gratitude strengthens prefrontal pathways for empathy and decision-making. The brain literally grows toward what you feel, most often. This is why emotional intelligence is not soft skill. It is survival technology. Your emotional baseline determines how your nervous system interprets life. Two people can face the same challenge. One collapses into panic. The other expands into curiosity. The difference is not circumstance. It is emotional conditioning, the energy field each has rehearsed. Think of your body as an orchestra. The brain is the conductor, but emotion is the music. When emotions are incoherent, anxiety, anger, resentment, the notes clash, signals misfire, hormones fluctuate, clarity vanishes. When emotions are coherent, peace, gratitude, love, the body's systems synchronize. Heart rate, breathing, and brain waves find rhythm. The music becomes harmonious. Healing, focus, and intuition flourish. At the cellular level, emotion directs energy flow. Positive emotional states increase coherence among cells, enhancing communication through biophotons, faint pulses of light emitted by DNA. Negative states disrupt this signaling. You are literally glowing differently depending on how you feel. The ancient idea of the aura is not metaphor, it is measurable physics. To understand how emotion shapes the brain, imagine two landscapes, one of turbulence, one of calm. In stress, cortisol floods the system, pruning neural branches associated with creativity and empathy. In calm, serotonin and dopamine stimulate growth in those same regions. Over time, repeated stress sculpts a reactive brain. Repeated calm sculpts a visionary one. Your emotions are chisels carving your neural architecture. So how do you begin to master this energy field? You start by becoming fluent in your own emotional language. Stop labeling feelings as good or bad. Instead, view each as data information about where your energy is flowing. Fear says, attention needed. Anger says, boundary violated. Sadness says something must be released. Gratitude says, you are aligned. Listening without judgment transforms emotion from turbulence into guidance. Next, practice emotional regulation, not suppression. Suppression traps energy. Regulation directs it. When emotion arises, don't flee from it. Feel it fully, breathe it through the heart. The act of conscious breathing integrates energy instead of scattering it. With time, this becomes automatic. The heart's rhythm entrains the brain, releasing neurochemicals like oxytocin that restore balance. This is not merely calming, it's rewiring. Try this when you feel overwhelmed. Place a hand on your heart. Inhale slowly for 5 seconds. Exhale for 5. On each breath, imagine your heart radiating a soft golden light. As you breathe, recall one moment of pure appreciation. Something simple, real, alive. Feel it deeply. Within 60 seconds, your heart rhythm will synchronize. Within 2 minutes, your brain will follow. You have just shifted your electromagnetic frequency, your emotional code, from survival to creation. Emotion also shapes memory. The hippocampus tags emotionally charged experiences as significant, ensuring they replay more vividly. This is why pain feels unforgettable. It's energetically louder. But here's the secret. The same system can be used to reinforce empowerment. When you pair emotion with new beliefs, those beliefs imprint deeply. The stronger the feeling, the faster the rewiring. This is why visualization paired with gratitude is so powerful. It fuses thought and emotion into a new neural and energetic pattern. From a spiritual scientific lens, emotions are not random reactions. They are frequencies of consciousness. Fear vibrates slower and contracts. Love vibrates faster and expands. Each time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, you raise the frequency of your field. Each time you choose gratitude over complaint, you reorganize your nervous system toward coherence. Over time, these micro-choices recalibrate your entire being. This is the essence of transmutation, transforming dense emotional energy into higher states of awareness. You do not fight low-frequency emotions. You elevate them. Energy cannot be destroyed, only refined. When you face fear with curiosity, anger with understanding, sorrow with surrender, you refine raw energy into wisdom. The emotion dissolves because its message has been received. The warrior does not suppress emotion, they channel it. Rage becomes focus. Fear becomes alertness. Sadness becomes depth. The alchemy happens through awareness. By naming the emotion, breathing through it, and assigning it a higher purpose, you turn chaos into coherence. Understand this. The energy body is your first environment. The condition of this inner field dictates what enters your outer world. If your field vibrates with peace, circumstances mirror peace. If it vibrates with resistance, you attract friction. You don't fix the external by force. You shift the internal by frequency. Over time, as you practice emotional coherence, a strange calm begins to settle over you. You notice that situations which once triggered you now pass like weather. People respond differently. Solutions appear faster. It is not coincidence, it is resonance. Your field has stabilized. So when the world feels chaotic, don't look outward for control. Sit, breathe, feel, align. The storm outside will calm when the storm inside dissolves. Emotion is your teacher, your sculptor, your frequency. Master it, and you master the dialogue between brain-body and cosmos. Because emotion at its highest form is energy remembering where it came from love. And when you remember that truth, the energy body becomes luminous, again, coherent, whole, and unstoppable. Your heart is not just beating blood, it is broadcasting light. Choose wisely what you let it say. Chapter 10. The Science of Alignment, Bridging Thought, Emotion, and Action. Every great transformation begins with alignment, the invisible harmony between what you think, what you feel, and what you do. When these three frequencies move in different directions, life becomes static and confusing. But when they converge, energy flows like lightning. Alignment is not just moral consistency, it's energetic geometry. It's the precise arrangement through which your consciousness becomes a coherent signal in the universe. In neuroscience, this alignment is known as cognitive emotional coherence. When thoughts, emotions, and behaviors match the brain's neural networks, synchronize. Electrical impulses travel faster, decisions become clear, and the body releases performance-enhancing neurochemicals like dopamine and serotonin. But when you think one thing, feel another, and act against both, your brain splits into conflict, a kind of internal static. That static manifests as fatigue, anxiety, or self-sabotage. Spiritual science describes the same phenomenon differently. When the mind, heart, and body vibrate in harmony, you radiate a frequency that bends reality around your intention. When they're misaligned, your signal cancels itself out. You cannot attract peace while broadcasting resistance. You cannot manifest abundance while anchored in scarcity. The universe doesn't respond to words, it responds to energetic truth. Imagine your mind as a transmitter, your heart as the amplifier, and your actions as the broadcast. If any one of these is off frequency, the message is distorted. Most people live this way. They affirm abundance while feeling doubt, or plan transformation while acting from fear. They wonder why nothing changes, unaware that their signal is fragmented. Alignment begins by choosing honesty, not superficial optimism, but radical truth. If you're angry, admit it. If you're afraid, acknowledge it. Denial fractures energy. Awareness unites it. The warrior's first discipline is self-honesty, to know exactly where their vibration stands before they raise it. You cannot harmonize frequencies you refuse to hear. Once honesty is established, alignment becomes a practice of inner calibration. Here's how to build it. Intention mind. Define your clear mental command. What do you choose to create or embody? The brain needs direction. Clarity transforms potential into purpose. Emotion heart. Infuse that intention with feeling. Emotion energizes thought. Without emotion, intention is a cold wire. With it, current flows. Feel the gratitude, confidence, or love associated with your goal. Now, not later. Action body. Anchor the signal with movement. Act in ways that confirm your belief. Every action sends a feedback loop to the brain. This is real. Repetition strengthens that loop until behavior becomes identity. When thought, emotion, and action loop in coherence, the nervous system achieves resonance measurable as heart-brain synchronization. In this state, creativity surges, immune function improves, intuition sharpens, and time seems to bend. You become a conductor of reality, not a reactor to it. Let's make this concrete. Suppose your goal is to build confidence. You might start each day with the thought, I am capable of meeting any challenge. Then you feel it. You breathe into your chest and recall moments when you acted bravely before. your body starts to relax. Next, you align behavior. You speak more clearly. You hold eye contact. You act as the confident version of yourself would. Over time, neural pathways associated with self-assurance strengthen. Your frequency changes not because you forced belief, but because you lived it into being. This is neuroplasticity meeting energy physics repetition with emotional charge becomes identity. The universe reflects not your effort, but your embodiment. Alignment is not perfection. It's rhythmic correction. Even the best instruments go out of tune. What matters is the speed with which you recalibrate. Awareness allows instant tuning. When your mind slips into fear, notice it. When your emotions drop, breathe coherence back into your heart. When your actions drift from your values, pause, realign, proceed. This constant refinement turns life into meditation in motion. Here's the deeper layer. Your body is a map of alignment. Every misalignment creates tension. Somewhere, the shoulders, gut, jaw, chest. These are energetic resistors. When you release physical tension through breath or movement, energy begins to flow again. This is why yoga, tai chi, or even mindful stretching enhance mental clarity. They restore coherence between the electromagnetic field of the body and the brain's neural rhythms. Quantum biology reveals that cells communicate through electromagnetic resonance. When your emotional and mental frequencies are dissonant, cell communication falters. When you are aligned, signals travel faster. Regeneration accelerates. Healing is not only physical, it's harmonic. The ancients captured this truth through geometry, the triangle of creation. Thought, emotion, and action are its three sides. If one side collapses, the shape loses integrity. But when balanced, it becomes the pyramid, the universal symbol of stability and ascension. Every great temple structure or civilization that endured was built upon this same principle of proportion and alignment. So is every great life. Let this be your daily mantra. What I think, I feel. What I feel, I do. What I do, I become. You cannot fake energy. If your inner world contradicts your outer expression, the field around you feels the distortion. But when all three aspects harmonize, you radiate certainty. People feel your presence before you speak. Synchronicities multiply. Opportunities align effortlessly because your frequency has become self-consistent. This is not luck, it's physics. Alignment is also the foundation of trust, both with yourself and with the universe. Each time you act in congruence with your intuition, you tell your subconscious, I am reliable. Over time, doubt fades. Self-trust becomes a vibration so steady that even chaos cannot distort it. The spiritually awake warrior does not chase alignment, they return to it. The more you live aligned, the shorter the distance between intention and manifestation becomes. What once took months begins to unfold within days. The gap between inner vision and outer reality closes because your energy field stops contradicting itself. Alignment turns time into servant instead of master. When you are aligned, patience is no longer waiting, it's trusting. Effort is no longer strain, it's expression. Work is no longer labor, it's flow. The reward of alignment is not what you get. It's what you become, a coherent being, a unified signal of intelligence moving through matter. So as you move forward, ask yourself this question each morning. Are my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions playing the same song? If not, pause. Breathe. Tune. Because in alignment, the universe doesn't need to guess your frequency. It sings it with you. That is the science of alignment. That is how energy becomes destiny. Min, Chapter 11. The Law of Vibration. How energy shapes reality. Everything you see, touch, and experience from the stars above to the pulse in your veins is vibration. Matter is not solid. It is condensed energy moving at specific frequencies. You are not separate from this universal orchestra. You are one of its instruments tuning and retuning your frequency through thought, emotion, and belief. The law of vibration is older than time, echoed by mystics and proven by quantum science. It states simply, nothing rests, everything moves. What differs is only the rate and pattern of that motion. Fear vibrates slower, denser. Love vibrates faster, lighter. The life you live is a direct reflection of the frequencies you emit. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are. Let's anchor this in science. Every atom in your body vibrates. Electrons orbit nuclei at speeds approaching the speed of light. The energy fields surrounding these particles constantly exchange information with the field around them. Your thoughts, electrical impulses, generate measurable electromagnetic waves. Your emotions, magnetic energy, give those waves amplitude and pull. Together, they form your vibrational signature, the energetic fingerprint that interacts with the universe. When your mind is fragmented or your emotions are chaotic, your vibration is incoherent. You send out mixed signals, like multiple radio stations overlapping. The universe, which operates through resonance, cannot respond clearly to noise. But when you are centered, when thought, emotion, and intention synchronize, your signal becomes pure. The universe hears it instantly. Vibration is not abstract. It's practical physics. Imagine two tuning forks. Strike one and the other. If tuned to the same frequency, begins to vibrate in sympathy. This is resonance. The same law governs manifestation. When your personal frequency matches the vibration of your desired reality, the two resonate. People, opportunities, and events vibrating at that level begin to appear, drawn, not by coincidence, but by coherence. Your frequency is constantly broadcasting. You cannot turn it off, but you can tune it. Every time you think, speak, or feel, you either raise or lower the signal. Positive thinking alone is not enough. It must be backed by emotional conviction. Words without frequency are static. Emotion without clarity is chaos. Alignment of both creates resonance. Let's make this tangible. When you dwell in fear or scarcity, your vibration slows. You notice more reasons to worry because your brain filters reality through that lens. When you practice gratitude or compassion, your vibration accelerates. Suddenly, synchronicities, meaningful coincidences appear because your attention and energy are harmonized with abundance. Your brain acts as both transmitter and receiver. It sends energetic information through thought and emotion, and it also decodes reality through perception. What you call intuition is the brain tuning into subtle frequencies beyond logic. What you call luck is resonance aligning in your favor. From a spiritual perspective, the law of vibration explains why inner change precedes outer change. Energy moves first, matter follows. You cannot create a new reality while maintaining the old frequency. Transformation begins not by demanding the universe shift, but by elevating your vibration to meet the reality you desire. So how do you raise your frequency? Through conscious state management. Thought, guard your mental diet. Replace judgment with curiosity, complaint with gratitude, reaction with reflection, emotion. Keep the heart open. Love, gratitude, joy. These are not luxuries. They are energetic upgrades. Body move. The body is an antenna for frequency. Physical stagnation blocks flow. Even a walk, breathwork, or dance resets your vibration. Environment. Surround yourself with coherence. Music nature people who uplift. Your energy field entrains to whatever it's immersed in. And most importantly, awareness. The moment you become conscious of your vibration, it begins to change. Awareness itself is high-frequency energy. It reorganizes chaos into clarity, noise into signal. In quantum terms, vibration determines probability. The observer effect proves that consciousness influences how energy behaves. When you maintain a steady, coherent vibration, one of certainty, peace, or love, the field collapses possibilities into forms that match your state. You are literally sculpting probability with presence. But this is not about pretending to be positive. Authenticity is the highest frequency. False positivity creates distortion because it hides truth beneath denial. The warrior does not suppress low vibration, they transform it. When fear arises, they breathe through it until it shifts. When anger surfaces, they use it as power for action. Every emotion can be elevated through awareness and intention. You will know your vibration has risen, not by how life looks, but by how it feels. Time slows, intuition sharpens, small joys feel amplified. You begin to sense rhythm in everything, the hum of life beneath silence. This is the field speaking back to you. The higher you vibrate, the less resistance you encounter. You no longer fight to manifest. Reality seems to rearrange itself before you act. Because energy of the same frequency seeks harmony. Understand this. Your vibration is your prayer. Your energy is your statement to the cosmos. Every thought is an instruction, every feeling a signal, every action a confirmation. Raise the frequency of your being, and the external world must synchronize. That is not belief, it is law. So from this moment, treat your vibration as sacred. Begin each day with intentional tuning, a moment of silence, a breath of gratitude, a vision of who you choose to be. The world will mirror the energy you hold, not the words you say. Remember, sound shapes sand into form. Frequency arranges matter. And consciousness. Your consciousness commands the vibration that shapes worlds. You are not a passive receiver of energy. You are the vibration that creates reality. Chapter 12. The Neuroscience of Belief. Reprogramming the subconscious mind. What you believe is what your brain builds. Belief is not a mere opinion. It is a biological code. It instructs your neurons which patterns to fire, your hormones, which emotions to release, and your nervous system how to interpret reality. In truth, you don't see the world as it is. You see the world as your beliefs allow you to. From the standpoint of neuroscience, belief is an energy blueprint etched into the subconscious mind. Around 95% of your daily actions, reactions, and perceptions are driven by this subconscious programming. These programs were installed during your formative years before you could consciously filter information. Every repeated phrase, emotional experience, and cultural rule became a script embedded in your neural architecture. When you believe life is hard, your brain literally filters information to prove it. It ignores opportunities that contradict that belief and amplifies data that supports it. This is the reticular activating system RAS at work, the brain's gatekeeper of attention. It constantly scans the environment for evidence that aligns with your internal narrative. Change the narrative and your RAS begins highlighting new realities. But belief is more than mental, it's electromagnetic. Each belief produces a consistent vibrational pattern in your energy field. Positive beliefs about yourself expand your field. Limiting beliefs contract it. That contraction is felt as fear, procrastination, or unworthiness. It's not moral failure, it's physics. Your field is simply mirroring your inner script. The good news is that belief is plastic, just like the brain. Every thought repeated with emotional conviction becomes wiring. The subconscious mind learns through repetition and feeling, not logic. This means you cannot simply think your way into new beliefs. You must feel them into existence. Here's how reprogramming works. Awareness. The first step is identifying the core belief behind your limitations. Ask yourself, what must I believe for this pattern to exist? If you constantly self-sabotage success, the underlying code might be, I'm not worthy of stability. Interruption. Once identified, disrupt the neural loop. Each time the old belief surfaces, say internally, cancel. Not my truth anymore. This breaks automatic firing patterns. Replacement. Immediately replace the old script with a new one, but do it emotionally. For example, I am worthy of abundance because I am connected to creation itself. Then breathe that statement until your body feels it. Repetition. The subconscious learns through rhythm. Repeat the new belief daily during meditation, before sleep, or through affirmations spoken aloud. Consistency rewires the network. Embodiment. Act as if the belief were already true. Behavior signals the brain that the new program is active. When action, thought, and emotion align, rewiring accelerates. Neuroscience calls this process Hebbian learning neurons that fire together, wire together. Each time you pair a new belief with emotion and action, the brain strengthens that pathway. Over time, the old network atrophies, like a road no longer traveled. The subconscious begins to accept the new story as default. This process mirrors the spiritual principle of faith, the ability to act as though something unseen is already real. In energetic terms, faith is vibrational certainty. The subconscious doesn't distinguish between imagination and experience. It only records what you repeatedly feel to be true. There's a simple yet profound exercise to accelerate this transformation. Before sleep, the theta window, when the subconscious is most impressionable, close your eyes and imagine your future self, living from the new belief. See through their eyes. Feel the emotional reality of it. The mind's gateway between conscious and subconscious opens during this state, allowing new programming to flow directly into long-term memory. You may notice resistance arise, inner voices that say, "This isn't true. That's not failure." That's the old program defending its territory. Acknowledge it calmly and persist. The subconscious is like soil. It grows whatever seed is planted most often. Over time, new beliefs manifest as automatic behavior. You will find yourself making choices that once felt impossible, attracting situations that match your upgraded frequency. Because belief doesn't just change perception, it changes biology. Studies in placebo research reveal that when a person believes a pill will heal them, their body releases the corresponding chemicals to create that healing. The mind does not wait for evidence. It becomes the evidence. From the cosmic view, belief is the architect of vibration. Thoughts are signals, but beliefs are the foundation from which all signals arise. The universe does not respond to your wishes. It responds to your conviction. Understand this deeply. Your subconscious is not your enemy. It is your most loyal servant. It obeys the dominant vibration you sustain. If you feed it fear, it protects you through limitation. If you feed it love and purpose, it expands you through creation. So begin to speak to it, gently, daily. Remind it of your truth. I am not my past. I am my potential. I am not limited matter. I am limitless mind in motion. Soon you will notice subtle miracles, synchronicities, aligning people treating you differently. your body healing faster, your creativity surging. These are confirmations that your internal architecture has changed, because when belief shifts, frequency shifts. When frequency shifts, the field reorganizes. And when the field reorganizes, reality obeys. Reprogramming your subconscious is not an act of control, it's an act of liberation. You are not forcing change, you are remembering your original design. Your beliefs are not walls, they are doors. Choose which ones you open. Chapter 13. The Dimension of Faith. The invisible bridge between thought and reality. There is a moment between setting an intention and seeing its manifestation, a space where nothing visible has changed, yet everything unseen is rearranging. That invisible interval is ruled by faith. Faith is not blind belief. It is alignment maintained in the absence of evidence. It is the still inner knowing that your energy has already created what your eyes have not yet seen. Faith is not religion. It is resonance. It is the frequency of certainty, vibrating through uncertainty, the bridge connecting imagination to matter. Science calls this interval the delay of manifestation. Energy moves instantly, but matter takes time to organize around the new signal. Most people collapse in this gap. They doubt, overthink, or retreat into fear, unknowingly broadcasting the opposite vibration of what they asked for. The warrior understands that this in-between is sacred. It is not silence. It is gestation. The quantum field operates like fertile soil. When you plant a seed of intention through thought and emotion, the field immediately begins responding. But if you dig up the seed every day to see if it's growing, you interrupt the process. Faith is the willingness to leave the seed buried in the unseen, trusting that the roots are forming beneath consciousness. The human mind craves evidence, but creation flows through belief, first proof second. Every invention, healing, and breakthrough in human history began with someone holding faith in an idea before anyone else could see it. Faith is the higher intelligence that allows energy to condense into matter without the interference of doubt. Let's view it scientifically. When you set an intention with emotion, you imprint a coherent frequency into your electromagnetic field. That field interacts with the quantum vacuum, a sea of probability waiting to collapse into form. The stronger your faith or vibrational certainty, the more coherence your wave holds. The more coherence, the faster probability collapses into physical result. Faith is not passive waiting. It is active stability. It is a state of emotional and mental coherence maintained over time. The heart and brain synchronize into a pattern of trust. Your entire field vibrates with already done. This is why miracles, improbable outcomes, seem to happen to those who refuse to waver. Their faith stabilizes the signal long enough for reality to catch up. But how do you cultivate faith when life seems uncertain, when results delay, when nothing appears to move? You anchor it. Anchor faith in feeling, not evidence. Close your eyes and evoke the emotion of completion. Feel what it's like for your desire to already exist. Hold that vibration until your nervous system memorizes it. That is faith, the emotional memory of the future. Anchor faith in presence. The mind doubts because it projects into the future. The heart trusts because it lives in the now. Each time doubt arises, bring your focus back to the breath. Reality unfolds in the present moment, the only place creation truly happens. Anchor faith in consistency. Repetition stabilizes vibration. Speak your truth daily. Visualize. Act in alignment. Each small, consistent act reinforces certainty until it becomes your default state. Faith does not demand that you know how, only that you trust the law. The how belongs to the field, whose intelligence organizes infinite variables beyond your perception. Your job is to hold coherence. The field's job is to respond. To the untrained mind, faith looks like inaction. To the awakened mind, faith is vibrational precision. It is standing still while your energy rewrites the matrix of possibilities. Remember, impatience is a symptom of mistrust. The moment you start counting time, you signal that you doubt the process. The universe mirrors your vibration, not your calendar. Instead of asking, "When will it happen?" ask, "How can I maintain the vibration until it does?" Faith also has a physiological signature. In moments of deep trust, the parasympathetic nervous system activates heart rate, slows, cortisol drops, and alpha brain waves increase. This relaxed coherence opens access to intuition, allowing guidance and synchronicities to flow. You begin noticing signs, effortless alignments, subtle confirmations that your signal has been received. From the spiritual lens, faith is remembrance. It is remembering that you are not separate from the intelligence that governs galaxies' seasons and the rhythm of breath. The same force that turns a seed into a tree is the one shaping your reality. Your only task is to stay aligned with its frequency long enough for it to work through you. Think of faith as gravitational pull, invisible yet undeniable. It draws energy into form. Doubt scatters it. Every time you choose faith over fear, you magnetize your intention toward manifestation. Every time you release control, you allow the current of creation to carry you farther than effort ever could. The greatest transformations happen when you no longer negotiate with the unseen, when you decide that your vision is inevitable. That decision creates coherence, so powerful that the universe cannot help but reorganize around it. Faith also refines perception. When you hold unwavering trust, your mind stops looking for proof and starts recognizing alignment. What once looked like delay now appears as divine timing. What once looked like failure becomes redirection. What once looked like coincidence reveals itself as orchestration. Here lies the paradox of faith. You stop needing what you asked for, and that detachment allows it to arrive. When you are whole without the result, you emit the vibration of fulfillment, and fulfillment attracts fulfillment. Faith is not weakness, it is mastery. It is the energy of someone who no longer seeks outside validation, because they already vibrate as proof. Every sage scientist and creator who changed the world did so through this invisible technology of faith, holding a coherent signal longer than the world could resist it. So the next time you feel doubt rising, remember, the field has not forgotten your command. It is simply synchronizing in ways you cannot yet perceive. Stay steady, stay aligned, stay faithful, because the bridge between the unseen and the seen is built not with effort, but with energy, and faith is the vibration that makes it solid enough to walk across. Hold that vibration. Walk in that certainty. The universe will meet you halfway. Chapter 14. The state of flow. Living in harmony with universal intelligence. There exists a state beyond struggle, a rhythm where action feels effortless, intuition leads naturally, and time bends around purpose. This is the state of flow. It is not fantasy. It is the natural rhythm of an aligned mind. Flow is what happens when your consciousness merges with universal intelligence, when doing and being become one seamless movement. Science describes flow as a neurochemical symphony. Dopamine ignites focus. Norepinephrine sharpens attention. Anandamide expands creativity, and endorphins silence pain. The prefrontal cortex, the region that overanalyzes and worries, temporarily deactivates. This is known as transient hypofrontality. In that stillness of self-awareness widens. The thinker disappears, leaving only thinking. The doer dissolves, leaving only doing. From a spiritual perspective, flow is surrender to the intelligence that moves planets and tides. It's when you stop trying to force life and allow it to express through you. The Japanese call it mushin no mind. Athletes call it the zone. Artists call it inspiration. Mystics call it divine alignment. Whatever the name, the essence is the same effortless excellence born from coherence. Flow is not achieved by chasing intensity. It's entered by releasing resistance. The doorway to flow opens when thought, emotion, and action align so perfectly that the boundary between them vanishes. The universe itself begins to move through your nervous system, guiding, expressing, creating. You are not the wave fighting the ocean. You are the ocean realizing it was a wave all along. Let's understand how flow forms from both science and energy. Neuroscience. The brain's wave patterns shift from beta, busy thinking, to alpha and theta, creative calm. The nervous system enters parasympathetic balance, signaling safety and possibility. Energy science. The personal electromagnetic field synchronizes with the larger cosmic field. The heart and brain enter perfect rhythm. Intention and intuition merge. The result? Awareness expands beyond the limits of logic. Ideas appear as if whispered from beyond thought. Synchronicities multiply. Tasks that once drained you now recharge you. Time becomes elastic hours, feel like minutes, yet more is achieved than through forceful effort. To live in flow, you must train receptivity. Here's how: silence, the inner noise. Flow cannot coexist with mental clutter. Begin each day with meditation or deep breathing. Empty the mind so the field can fill it. Follow resonance, not obligation. Flow arises when you act from what feels alive, not what feels required. The body is a compass. Excitement signals alignment. Stay present. Flow collapses when attention fragments into past or future. Anchor awareness to the now, the only point where universal intelligence communicates. Let go of perfection. The need to control outcome blocks energy. Perfection is fear disguised as discipline. Choose progress, curiosity, and openness. Move with rhythm, balance effort and rest. Expansion and integration are two halves of the same cycle. Push, then pause. Breathe, then build. When you practice these principles, your energy field becomes permeable, a conduit rather than a container. Universal intelligence begins expressing itself through you in ways you couldn't plan. You start to experience effortless alignment, the right people, the right timing, the right words, all emerging organically. Flow is not reserved for extraordinary moments. It's available in ordinary life. Washing dishes, writing an email, walking outside, each can become sacred when done with full awareness. Presence turns the mundane into meditation. Every task, when performed consciously, harmonizes with the field. In flow, you no longer chase inspiration. Inspiration chases you. It is drawn to still, coherent vessels. Your role is not to create genius. It's to clear interference, so genius can move through you. On the energetic level, flow is a state of least resistance. Imagine water running downhill. It doesn't struggle. It simply follows gravity. In the same way, when you align with your natural frequency, when your thoughts and actions honor your authentic nature, you move along the path of least resistance. Life ceases to be uphill. You stop pushing. You start gliding. The warrior understands that flow is not about losing discipline. It's about refining trust. Discipline creates structure. Flow fills it with grace. Both are needed. The river needs banks to channel its power. Otherwise, it becomes a flood. So, cultivate routine, but stay fluid within it. Living in flow also means letting go of comparison. Flow is personal. Your rhythm may not look like anyone else's. The flower doesn't rush because the tree blooms sooner. Everything unfolds in perfect timing when aligned with its essence. As you deepen into this state, the ego begins to dissolve. You realize you are not the doer, you are the doorway. Life expresses through you, not because of you. And paradoxically, that's when your power multiplies. The less you try to control, the more reality responds in harmony. This is why the greatest masters appear serene in chaos. They are not resisting what happens, they are harmonizing with it. Flow is their natural habitat. They understand that the same intelligence guiding galaxies is also guiding each breath. To enter this way of living, remind yourself often, I am not separate from life. I am life, unfolding itself. Then act from that truth. When you speak, let words rise from presence. When you work, let energy move through joy. When you rest, let the universe work on your behalf. Eventually, you stop dipping into flow and start living there, where thought serves awareness, where action arises effortlessly, and where every moment feels like an elegant collaboration with the infinite. That is the state of flow, the seamless dance between human effort and cosmic intelligence. And once you find that rhythm, you will understand why struggle was never proof of worth. It was simply resistance to harmony. When you live in flow, you are not trying to create miracles. You are a miracle moving. Chapter 15. Transcendence. Awakening the limitless self. At the highest point of your journey, there comes a realization so quiet yet so vast that it changes the nature of every question you've ever asked. You were never broken, only unaware of your wholeness. Transcendence is the return to that awareness, the remembering of who and what you truly are, beyond thought form or story. All that you have learned about mind rewiring, energy alignment, vibration, belief, and flow was not to make you someone new, but to clear the interference that kept you from sensing what has always been present, infinite consciousness, experiencing itself through you. Transcendence is not an escape from the human experience. It is the full embrace of it. It's the moment you see that every wound, failure, and fear was a disguised invitation, a portal back to awareness. Pain is not punishment. It is pressure designed to break the illusion of separation. From the view of neuroscience, transcendence corresponds to a quieting of the default mode network, the cluster of brain regions responsible for self-referential thought, or the I narrative. When this network softens, the sense of a rigid identity dissolves. The boundary between observer and observed blurs. You no longer think about life, you feel as life. This is often described as unity consciousness. Spiritual science describes it as coherence between the microcosm and the macrocosm, the individual field merging with the universal field. Your heart rhythm and brain waves align with the harmonic frequency of the planet itself. In this state, intuition becomes immediate knowledge, and intention manifests with minimal resistance. But transcendence is not a single event. It is a rhythm of awakening and forgetting, expansion and contraction. You taste eternity in meditation, then return to the tasks of daily life. The art lies in carrying the awareness from the cushion into the marketplace, washing dishes, answering messages, loving people, while staying rooted in the silent field within. Here are guiding principles for living from transcendence. See through, not at. Look beyond appearances. Every person and circumstance is a reflection of consciousness in various stages of remembering. The warrior no longer reacts. They recognize patterns of energy and respond with clarity. Detach from identity. The roles you play, artist, parent, seeker, leader, are garments of consciousness. Wear them lightly. Identity is a tool, not a prison. Choose love as default frequency. Love is not sentiment. It is coherence itself, the vibration of unity. Every time you choose love over judgment, you recalibrate your field to truth. Surrender control. Maintain direction. You are not the puppet, nor the puppeteer. You are the dance between will and intelligence. Set your intention, then let the universe choreograph the steps. Be the witness. The mind moves, emotions rise and fall, but awareness remains unchanged. The more you rest in the witness, the less turbulence can touch you. The physics of transcendence reveal that consciousness is not confined to the body. Studies on near-death experiences, quantum entanglement, and non-local awareness all point toward a single conclusion. Mind is fundamental matter, is derivative. You are the field, not the form within it. When this realization stabilizes, fear of loss dissolves. You no longer cling to possessions, titles, or outcomes, for you understand that everything you could lose was never you. Freedom replaces striving. Creativity becomes play. Service becomes natural. You begin to live not for validation, but for expression. Transcendence also transforms how you experience time. The future ceases to be something you chase. It unfolds from you. The past stops binding you because you perceive its patterns as data, not destiny. Every moment becomes complete, sacred in its simplicity. In transcendence, gratitude becomes your baseline frequency. You no longer thank life only when it gives what you want, you thank it for being. Gratitude is the final key because it dissolves separation between giver and receiver. And yet transcendence is not the end. It is the beginning of conscious creation from awareness rather than ego. The awakened being does not retreat to mountaintops. They bring light into the marketplace, the classroom, the home. They do not escape the world. They illuminate it. Remember, enlightenment is not distance from humanity. It is intimacy with existence. The closer you come to truth, the more compassion you radiate. Judgment vanishes, replaced by understanding that everyone is walking themselves home. The warrior, who has transcended, knows that there is no battle left to win. The only remaining act is service to uplift, to teach, to love without condition. In that service, they discover that giving and receiving are the same movement of energy. When you live from this place, manifestation becomes instantaneous because there is no gap between intention and reality. Consciousness is direct cause. You no longer visualize abundance. You vibrate as abundance. You no longer seek love. You emanate it. And the paradox. Life once chased with effort now flows through you with elegance. The river and the drop are one. You may notice that the world still tests you, not as punishment, but as calibration. Challenges continue, yet they no longer disturb your peace. You face them as waves that remind you of your depth. Each difficulty becomes an echo of your old vibration, asking to be integrated. At this stage, the greatest power you can embody is humility. The more light you carry, the softer you become. You no longer need to prove your strength. You are strength expressed as gentleness. So, as you walk beyond this chapter, beyond this book, remember, the destination was never the warrior. It was the awareness, watching the warriors rise. You were not transforming into something else. You were remembering the truth that has been waiting since the beginning. You are the observer and the observed, the wave and the ocean, the spark and the flame, the universe experiencing itself through a single breath. Transcendence is the return home, not upward, but inward. When you awaken to that truth, the search ends, but life begins anew, radiant, effortless, infinite. You have not become more. You have simply become aware. And that awareness is freedom. Conclusion. The return. Becoming the creator of your reality. And so your journey comes full circle from weakness to warrior, from seeking to knowing, from limitation to luminous awareness. What began as a fight for strength ends as a remembrance of power. You were never meant to escape your humanity. You were meant to awaken through it. Everything you've learned about neuroplasticity, vibration, emotion flow, belief, faith, and transcendence has led you to this truth. You are both the sculptor and the stone. The universe is not outside you. It is moving through you, responding precisely to the frequency you sustain. You are not at the mercy of circumstance. Circumstance is at the mercy of your consciousness. Transformation was never about fixing the self. It was about realizing that the self is fluid, a design interface through which infinite intelligence expresses. Every thought you think, every emotion you hold, every belief you embody is a creative act. You are programming reality through frequency. Once you grasp this, life stops being a reaction and becomes an art form. The final mastery is integration, living the wisdom, not just understanding it. You do not need more concepts. You need embodiment. Knowledge becomes power only when it changes vibration. So how do you embody what you now know? Live deliberately. Begin each day with conscious intent. Before opening your eyes, choose your vibration. Whisper inwardly. Today I will move as clarity. Today I will speak as love. Today I will act as creation. Guard your field. Your energy is sacred architecture. Protect it from noise, from overthinking, from negativity, from comparison. Remember, energy flows where attention goes. Lead with presence. Every interaction is an opportunity to embody coherence. Your calm becomes permission for others to find theirs. You are a tuning fork for collective consciousness. Return to silence often. The mind seeks control. The soul seeks communion. Stillness is where they meet. Breathe, empty, listen. The universe speaks in the language of subtle feeling, a whisper, not a shout. Serve the whole. The final purpose of awakening is contribution. True abundance is circular. What you give amplifies what you receive. Share your frequency through your work, your kindness, your art, your being. As you walk forward, understand this. Mastery is not a destination. It is a rhythm of awareness, remembering, forgetting, and remembering again. Each time you fall into fear, rise faster. Each time you forget your power, recall it sooner. The gaps between unconsciousness and awareness shorten until they vanish. That is evolution. Science will continue to explain what spirit already knows, that energy follows intention, that thought organizes matter, that love is the highest measurable frequency. But you do not need proof to live truth. You only need practice. When you begin to live as awareness itself, you realize there is nothing to seek, because everything already flows from within. Goals still exist, but they are no longer escapes. They are expressions. Relationships, creations, and success become mirrors for your vibration, not measures of your worth. And then one day, without fanfare, you'll wake up and feel it, an unshakable peace. not because life is perfect, but because you are no longer waiting for it to be. The storm can rage, and yet the sky within you remains clear. That is the real victory of the warrior, not dominance, but harmony. You have crossed the arc from reaction to creation, from fear to faith, from self to source. You now understand that weakness was never absence of strength. It was the seed of awakening. Failure was never loss. It was initiation. Struggle was never punishment. It was the training ground of your power. The path was never about becoming more. It was about remembering that you already are everything you seek. So as you close this journey, take one final breath and feel the truth resonate through every cell. You are consciousness embodied. You are energy sculpting itself into form. You are the observer and the creator simultaneously. You are the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the thought and the thing, the silence and the song. And now, armed with awareness, you no longer need to chase transformation. You are transformation unfolding moment by moment, thought by thought, breath by breath. The universe within you has always known the way. All that remained was for you to remember. Welcome home, warrior. The journey is complete, and it is just beginning. If something you heard today shifted your perspective, help it reach one more person who's ready for change. And if you want to keep growing with us, subscribe. This space will be here when you need it.